Well, hey there. It's Simeon, day 2 of the citizens' hearing on disclosure in Washington, D.C. We had another really quite fascinating and I would say historical day of listening to witness testimony. We heard from 2 groups of witnesses, both having to do with the military. In the morning, we heard from 2 witnesses, I believe Sergeant Peniston and Burroughs from the Rendlesham Forest Air Base, American Air Base in Britain in 1980, December 26th or 29th. They had some extremely anomalous encounters with objects moving around in the forest that to this day are still unexplained. What really makes it interesting is we had 18 military policemen at a base that allegedly had nuclear cruise missiles, nuclear-tipped cruise missiles at the time. And this was really a very secure location to have, foreign unidentified objects moving around next to a base with such, sensitive weapons and such an important mission is really of, you would think it would be of defense significance. But a British report and a U.S. report both concluded that nothing what happened there that night was of defense significance. Now, the interesting thing about that is, if that's really true, why are these gentlemen denied medical coverage? They seem to have been adversely affected. One of them was able to touch this triangular-shaped obelisk color vehicle. They weren't able to identify what it was. This happened over 3 nights. One of them touched it, and they got some sort of, perhaps a radiation poison. We don't know exactly, but they were denied medical coverage later on because the Veterans Administration said that this was a classified event. So if it wasn't of defense significance, why is the event still classified and why can't they get access to their medical records? Very significant. This is what one of the former congressmen who asked the questions really wanted to know. It's a serious issue. If you've served your country and you've had some sort of injury, you need to get medical attention for it. But if the event's classified, you can't. Why is this classified if nothing of significance happened there? It doesn't make sense. Very fascinating case. In the afternoon, we heard from, if there can be even something more interesting than that, a group of several former Missile Command Launch Center officers, the people responsible for launching nuclear missiles in the event of a nuclear missile launch. These would be the people who did it. And we heard from a new witness. We heard from Captain Robert Salas, who you might have heard of before, was talked about an incident in 1967 at Minot Air Force Base in North Dakota, where 10 of the missiles went down within a few minutes, which is almost near impossible to explain given that each of these missiles are on separate systems entirely. But we heard from a new witness we never heard before, Captain David Schindel, if I'm pronouncing correctly. Never talked about it before. Same sort of thing. He showed up at the base one day. There had been reports of UFO sightings in the town where he was. That was at North Dakota. Salas was in Montana, Malmstrom Air Force Base. But this gentleman, Mr. Schindel, shows up at work one day and is told there have been anomalous sightings. His base commander says he saw something very big, gestures with his hand, something perhaps 100 yards across. All of a sudden they find the missiles aren't working. Same sort of story. We wonder how many other individuals out there working at these sensitive missile installations have experienced the same thing, because Mr. Schindel was told later in the day, sign something here, you never saw this, this never happened, and you'll never talk about what never happened. Okay, doesn't make any sense. And the congressman and Senator Gravel were quite interested in this case again, because we had 3 gentlemen from these installations, plus historian Richard Dolan telling us about the history of UFO encounters around sensitive nuclear installations, nuclear power plants, and so forth. So all in all, quite a fascinating day. You would think the press would have talked about this, but There was some very good press coverage by the end of today. In particular, I saw a very good, neutral video by the Arabic news station Al Jazeera. I posted it on my blog at New Crystal Mine. Very good, fair coverage, saying exactly what the issues were. The petition from November 4th that the Obama administration really failed to address adequately, in our view. So take a look at the Al Jazeera report if you have a moment. We did see some very typical, cynical, derisive, negative reporting, if you could call it that, from one piece by the Atlantic Wire, but it's so negative and narrow. I would even call it news reporting. It's just like scoffing. They weren't even here, so how do they know whether these individuals are presenting legitimate evidence? Basically, their story about this event so far, it's just insulting and not even worth looking at. It's so they haven't taken the time. You know more about it now than they did, because they haven't even taken the time to listen to some of these very credible and authoritative witnesses, people that were at the helm of our military systems, very responsible positions. They're telling us they've encountered UFOs and unexplained objects that interfered with their ability to do their job. I would think any news organization would be interested in that story. Okay. Thanks for listening. I'll give you another report on day 3 tomorrow, and we'll see you later. Bye.